All right, so today's Friday, October 30th, day before Halloween. Today you're going to be able to identify independent and dependent variables from written and algebraic expressions. So before we even start, there's really only one big thing you guys are going to be learning today. And that is what an independent variable is, or at least how to decide which ones are independent and which ones are dependent. Oops. Dependent variable. All right, so the big thing that you guys need to know, the big thing for today is that your x is your independent variable and that your y is your dependent variable. All right, another thing that I want to remind you guys, we have this formula, y equals mx plus b. All right, so before we even start, I just want to point out these can all obviously switch, right? The associative property. All right, so this is the same thing as y equals b plus mx. All right, so you'll see examples like this. All right, and lastly, remember y is your dependent variable and x is your independent variable. All right, so I believe there's like 6 examples. So we're just gonna go through. So Jennifer started with $50 in her checking account. The amount of money she has in her account after m weeks is represented by the function t equals 50 plus 10m. Well, we know that t equals 50 plus 10m looks awfully familiar, looks awfully close to our formula, right? Our linear function. Remember these are the exact same formula. So we have our y equals b plus mx. Well, in the past couple of days, we have been focusing more on our b and m, right, our slope and our y-intercept. Well, today we're going to be focusing on our y and our x. So remember that our y is our dependent variable because it depends on x. And then remember that our x is our independent variable, independent. So all we have to do is draw a box hooking up our x and m, right? Because they are in the same spot. Let's say these are similar equations. So the m is in the same spot as the x, as the t is in the same spot as the y. So when I ask what our dependent variable is t is taking the place of y, so it's t. And our independent, our x, m is taking the place of x. So it would be m, this m, right? And this t. All right, so another one. A daycare charges $75 for an enrollment fee plus $100 a week. The equation C equals 100W plus 75 represents the cost of using the daycare center, where W represents the amount of weeks. All right, all I'm really looking at is this. Remember, I'm just looking at our linear function. So C equals 100W plus 75. Well, this is right away in the same form that we usually would have for y equals mx plus b. All right. So we know that our x is going to be our independent variable, and we know that our y is going to be our dependent variable. Well, here we're looking for dependent, and second question we're looking for independent. So when I box in my y, you can see that c will take the place of y, which will make it our dependent variable. And when I box in our x and the variable above it, we will get w to take the place of x. All right, and you'll see questions like this too. Lisa hired a cleaning service to clean her house. To find C, the total cost of cleaning her house, she used the following formula. C equals 7.5x plus 25. What is the dependent variable in the formula? Notice I'm not scrolling back up to read that again. I don't need it. It's asking me, what is my dependent variable? So I just need to look at this. So I have C equals 7.5x plus 25. Well, if I'm writing out my formula, I know I have y equals mx plus b. And I know that my y is my dependent variable. So I'm going to box in my y in the variable above it because that variable will take its place. And you can see that my answer is going to be A, C. All right, let's say we didn't do that right first. All right, right away, I want to point something out. A variable is never going to be a number, right? It's not going to be a number. So B and D are out. So you're down to 50-50 shot. Right away, we're down to 50-50 shot. And because we know Y is our dependent and C is in the same place as Y, A is your answer. All right, a local electrician charges for each hour of work. The electrician charges a $30 service fee, and then $25 for each hour work. The function is y equals 2x plus 30. The independent variable of this relation is what? Right, so we are looking for our independent variable. So I have y, whoops. And this one's actually pretty easy because they leave it with y and x. All right, so I'm gonna have y equals mx plus b. And I know that my x is my independent variable. And when I box in my x, the appropriate variable above it, we'll see that x is independent variable. Independent variable. All right, Joseph works as a dog walker on the weekends. He charges a flat fee for $4 to his customers and then $2.50 for each hour. The formula he uses is $2.50 is y equals 2.50d plus 4. Which of the following statements is true? All right, I've told you a variable is never going to be a number, so A's out. A variable is never going to be a number, so D's out. So we're left with B and C. And you can see here that both of them are asking for the dependent variable, So if I write out our equation, I have y equals 2.50d plus 4. And I write out our, should I call it like a stock equation, a generic equation? Y equals mx plus b. Well, we know that our y is going to be dependent, and that's what we're looking for. And you can see that when we box it in, the y's match up. So the y from the equation they gave us is actually the y that we would use in our generic formula. So the dependent variable is D. No, thank you. Y represents the dependent variable. C would be our correct answer. All right, last one. Owen went to Best Buy to purchase a new laptop. He put down a $200 payment. He put down a payment of $200 and will pay $75 each month until he pays it off. Use the formula P equals 200 plus 75 to identify which statement below is false. All right, so these ones are probably the most tricky because you're going to have to look at all four answers because you're looking for which one is false. Okay, also, you see that this is going to be in our, I don't want to say backwards, but it's a little like when our formula gets moved around, right? All right, so right here I have my x, which is going to be my independent, so C is independent. And then my y and my p match up, they will be dependent. All right, so the p is represented as dependent, so that's good. The C is represented as independent. That's good, good, good. All right, I'm gonna skip C for a second because you'll see a question like this, maybe on the test, maybe on an exit ticket. The C represents the number of months. A lot of people just want to jump to this one because it's different and we haven't seen it before yet, right? The C represents the number of months. When we come back up now, we actually have to kind of read this equation, right? So what you're going to look for is you look for the word month, and then look for that keyword, that each, per, every, and you'll see that we have an each here. And when you have an each, that usually means that you're going to be multiplying the number to the left of it by a variable. Okay. Now they don't tell you that C equals months, but you know that 75 is going to be multiplied by a variable that equals months. So C does in fact equal months. So this is good. And what really should have just given this all away to you was that the variable is being represented by a number, and that's a big no-no. So C is in fact false. All right, so that was pretty much it for today. I thank you guys for all the hard work. Have a great weekend and enjoy Thanksgiving. Be safe, and I will see you guys next week.